You're way too kind, bro. You're way too kind, man.
Well, we go back a long ways. I saw this guy who was very, very anxious and eager, and I said, you know what? I'm going to bring that guy on board with me. We got to have him a part of the show because we love your knowledge.
I appreciate it every day, man. Every day I think about it, you gave me my start, man. So I really appreciate that. And from this point on, man, you always got me, man. Even though I've been on the show the last 3 years.
Well, hey, look, we always enjoy getting your top conversation because you keep it real. You tell it like it is. And first off, let me get your thoughts on Bradford, how he played. And, he took a couple hits there. I thought, look, while the Suggs hit, a lot of discretion on it right now. Was it clean? Was it dirty? I'm glad that he took it because it showed me he's healthy. He got up and he took a low blow and he kept going. So that was a good thing for me. Even though you don't want to see your quarterback take that type of hit, I'm glad he got it out of the way.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I mean, by the rules and how you played it, Suggs' hit was not a penalty. It was, it's almost like an unwritten between guys during the preseason. You don't want to hurt a guy. That's one thing because you want to get through the preseason unscathed. And for Suggs to do what he did showed a lack of class, and he understood that, but it was not an illegal hit. Once they do that dual read with Sam Bradford, they put him in harm's way because he then becomes a runner as opposed to being a passer. So, I mean, they got it wrong in that aspect, but, hey, like Chip Kelly said, man, he was a drop-back quarterback, so it worked out for him, but we don't need him doing that throughout these next few games.
No, I don't want to see him take more hits like that, but I'm glad he got that one out of the way because then mentally he says, you know what, I took that hit and I kept going, and then he got blasted up the middle. And, yeah, he was a little slow, and, but he took a shot. He stayed in there, and then the Eagle. Do you think if he didn't take those shots, they let him play more, or was the goal just to get him his one series and out?
Well, I knew he was going to take anywhere from 10 to 15 plays. I think that's where Chip was going to cap it off. And because of that, I think they're erring on the side of caution. And I believe wholeheartedly in that. You say what you want to say. It's not like riding a bike, but it is the aspect that this is a violent game because of that. We'll let them walk in a little bit instead of going in full sprint.
Barrett Brooks is with us, Breakfast on Broad, Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, former Philadelphia Eagle, every Monday at this time with Barrett's breakdown of the game. Barrett, let me move on to, obviously, Tebow versus Barkley is the next big. I don't think there's ever been a third quarterback battle in the history of football that has more attention than this one. But for you, who offers more?
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. I heard you say a little bit about Tebow making the team. I doubt seriously Tebow making the team. In fact, I would be almost ready to bet money on it just because of the aspect you cannot dress Tebow in a 46-man roster and he does not play special teams. And that's the only thing that's barring him from being on this team because Chip Kelly has this fascination of what he brings to as far as the intangibles of being an athlete, running as well as he does, and to be cliché, the dude is a winner, man. I can't say that enough. Everywhere he's went, he's been successful when they put him in a position to play. Now, Chip Kelly has an offense, strictly predicated for him, so he'll thrive in the Chip Kelly system. But just Chip Kelly. He'd go anywhere else in the NFL, he wouldn't make the team, wouldn't be close. He doesn't have an NFL arm, but he does have the intangibles that Chip Kelly looks for in a football player, not necessarily a quarterback.
I agree with all that. I think if you have Tim Tebow on your team, you have to do something specific for his talents, which is I can't count on you to throw the football down in and down out. But if for 2 or 3 weeks you needed a guy, who gives you a better shot to win, Barkley or Tebow?
Well, it depends on what the circumstances are. Now, if we do get down to the third quarterback and Sanchez and Sam Bradford, there's no way on God's green earth that Tim Tebow could run an offense and sustain the offense for an entire game. But if we're looking at spot duty to close the game out, I could rely on Tebow to close the game out. I just can't rely on him to go ahead and execute an offense for an entire game. There's not enough gadget plays for Chip Kelly in his repertoire, so he can't do that. So in saying that, Barkley, you can't play him throughout a game because he can make the proper reads and the proper progressions of being an NFL quarterback. He has an arm of an NFL quarterback, but he's just like Foles in Chip Kelly's eyes. He's a guy that doesn't really fit the schemes that he wants to win. So I think he's capped his use on this team. He doesn't get any further than this. and he's probably trade bait at this point, or if they do go into the season with him, it'd be limited role as far as him never seeing the field unless it's a dire emergency.
All right, I want to get your take on the right guard spot. Gardner, he keeps praising, but won't go as far as to say he's won the job. In your eyes, has Gardner won the right guard spot?
Yes, he has. He's a better pass blocker than the rest of them, and that's the only thing that sets him apart. His technique's down. His pass blocking skills are a lot better than Moffitt. And Vandervelde, I mean, that guy's going to get somebody murdered. You know, I saw like 3 or 4 plays where he completely whipped on the guy and was beat clean, and really put Sanchez in a position and Barkley in a position where they really could have gotten hurt. So if they hadn't evaded that pass blocker, they really could have been hurt. So at this point, he's the most consistent guy, Gardner's most consistent guy. They totally moved Tobin out of the competition. He's now a tackle. And he wasn't playing too well at the tackle position, but he's no longer in the runs of being a guard. But I do see Andrew Gardner as being the forefront guy. He's going to be the starter heading into Week 1, and he's taking the position. He's the only one that grabbed the position and is running with it.
So give me your lowdown now on the 5. Peters, Barbary, Kelsey, Gardner, Lane Johnson. Is this a offensive line that's better than last year's offensive line?
Absolutely not. It's nowhere near better than it's an offensive line that can sustain Sam Bradford standing up. As far as running the ball, they're the perfect offensive line for running the ball because these guys are athletic. They're driving guys off the ball with this zone read. And to tell you the truth, they're run blocking a lot better than I thought they were, considering they changed the whole run blocking scheme. They're no longer, pulling guys around like they used to in the past. They're now double teaming and driving guys off the ball and allowing the running back and pick and choose a hole, that one-step cut, go on the track, and head down. So he's definitely changed off of the scheme, and it's working for the guys he has up front at this point.
Chip Kelly said today, they asked him why the run game has been better. He said the line's blocking well, and he said the backs are hitting the hole. Is that him taking a little shot at McCoy, or are you seeing a different style of running game from this Eagles team?
It's definitely a different style of running game. It's no longer pulling guys around and shady making it, getting guys up on the second or third level. Now they're driving guys off the ball and have the back go down the track. See, I want to get everybody to stop this one-step cut thing. It's actually track blocking, and when you see the hole, you take it and you cut. That's the one-step and cut. You have to, once you receive the ball from the quarterback, you get on the track, and you follow that track until you see an open hole, and when they see the open hole, there's one step, take it downhill. If you only get 3 yards, you only get 3 yards. If you only get 5 yards, you only get 5 yards. Take the yards that they're giving you. But as you do that, you beat up the defensive line, you beat up the linebackers, then you start hitting the big ones as far as the 10-yard runs, the 16-yard runs, probably back to a 7-yard run. This is an offense that's trying to stay on time. If you go ahead and you have 3 plays, 4 yards each, that's a first down, which keeps this offense moving, keeps this offense on time, and that's what Chip Kelly wants to do. He wants to run quick, get to the line, and play ball, 4 yards a pop. That's a first down. They're steady moving down the field.
So, Lesean Mccoy led the league in rushing 2 years ago, very dynamic player. DeMarco Murray led the NFL in rushing last year, different type of player, plus Matthews. Better run game, this style or the McCoy style?
This is a better run style for the guys you have at Murray and Matthews. You probably won't have a rushing champion because the only controversial it won't be a quarterback controversy. There could be definitely a running controversy because Matthews and Murray are 2 dynamic runners. Both guys hit the hole hard, and both guys have the ability to put up big yardage in this offense. Although, I see Murray only getting like 18 to 20 yards a carry, but you have to also give Matthews 10 to 12, even maybe 15 yards a carry because he's going to bust a couple. He may have more yards at the end of the day with less carries, but Murray is also that guy that can beat guys up and going downhill. So it really depends on situational football, but both of these guys are really good players when healthy, and they can stay healthy because both of them can go throughout a game and not, wear down as they did in the past where they're the only guys the only guys running the ball for their offense.
Barrett Brooks is with us. You see him every morning on Breakfast on Broad, 6 to 8 on the Comcast network. You also know he won a Super Bowl championship with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's at bbrooks72TCN on Twitter. He's been covering the Eagles at camp throughout this preseason. Let me get your thoughts on the wide receivers. You know, they lose Macklin. They lose Jackson 2 years ago. Matthews, Aguilar. Who's the third guy, and what do you think of this core?
You know what? These guys are a lot better than I thought they were going to be. I still see Cooper as the guy that's going to be the number 2. You know, he hasn't really had a dynamic camp, but he's a guy that they love the fact that he can run block. And better camp than people give him credit for. Cooper has went out there and really played well throughout practice. It's just in the game-type situation. The ball hasn't gone his way. But that's going to happen with this type of offense. There's just not enough balls to give it to everybody. You got Murray, you got Matthews, you got Sproles. They're putting Sproles out in the slot. I mean, you got, Matthews out there at the receiver position out wide. You know, it's just not enough balls out there to really get it to all these players. So don't think that Cooper is not playing well. He's actually playing well. They just haven't had to go to him at this point. Number 2, you got Matthews and Cooper. And then they're still fighting out with Aguilar and Hubbard, who's going to be that third receiver in this lineup. But that's a good thing for Chip Kelly to have. That's a good problem to have because when you have 2 guys like that play better than probably anybody on the team after they receive the ball, they can get open, they can run away from players. I mean, that's a great problem for Chip Kelly to have.
I agree. Let me get your take then here. What happens if Barner makes the team? Who's the odd man out? Where do they go light?
You know what? I was discussing this today on BOB, Breakfast on Broad, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I mean, where do you get this roster spot from, especially with Zach Ertz being hurt? And the wrench that really throws a monkey wrench into everything is the fact that Marcus Smith is hurt. That means you have to carry an extra linebacker on the roster because he is hurt, because they were sliding Marcus Smith to play a lot of the special teams, and he was supposed to be that third guy to come in at that outside linebacker position. Now Brayman becomes, a key piece in this. They have to keep Brad Jones because he plays both inside and outside. Neither 3 of the starting linebackers and Kiko Alonso, all those guys haven't been playing. DeMarco Ryan, all these guys haven't played. So because of that, Michael Kendricks, with the hamstring, they really don't have a guy that they can let go on that linebacker core that plays special teams. So where do you put him in? Zach Ertz, he kept 4 tight ends last year when they let Casey go. So where do you take a position away? The only position I can see is at a corner or something like that, or a defensive lineman. But at this point, you'd be hard pressed to find somewhere for Kenyon Barner to make this team, even though he's been great during this preseason.
Would Huff be an odd? What about Huff? Would he be an odd? Are Barner and Huff battling, or or is Huff making this team?
Huff is going to make the team because they need 5 receivers. They absolutely have to have 5 receivers. The thing that's really making things, pigeonhole Chip Kelly to probably letting this guy go or being the best trade bait on the team is the fact that Zach Ertz is hurt right now, and they have to have a third tight end on this roster to not only play special teams, but also the different packages and personnel packages that Chip Kelly runs with all these tight ends. I mean, it's going to be hard. They at least have to carry these 3 tight ends on, and Barton, Ertz, and Selleck. But who's going to be that 4th guy? I mean, you got Thompson. He's the guy that they're going to have to keep. So it's either Thompson or Barner.
Yeah, he didn't give Marcus Smith a big rounding stamp of approval today. He said, well, he's in a tough spot. He's only playing 1 week. He probably won't play again. Could Marcus Smith get cut?
You know what? He really could get cut. I mean, Chip is not a guy that feels as though he has to have a guy on this team. Even though he's the first pick, he didn't do anything in training camp. He hasn't done anything in training camp. He hasn't done anything in the game to really set himself apart. Brian Brayman played 100% better than he did. If you look at Brad Jones made an instant impact at that middle linebacker position or that jack position. Emmanuel Ocho has made a point that he started these last 2 games, at that inside linebacker position, so they, thinking they have to keep him. Najee Goods is one of the odd men out at this point, and Marcus Smith, if he doesn't pick it out and show these guys something, or they don't put him on IR, he could virtually be a guy that won't be on this team, even though he was the first-round pick last year. He never saw the field last year. He didn't practice well. He really hasn't practiced well this year either. So
he didn't get a ring-in endorsement today. That's for sure. He didn't get a ring-in endorsement today. He basically said, "Look, he's been there one game. That's unfortunate for him." And that's kind of what he was talking about Earl Wolf, and before Wolf basically, got cut, and because he couldn't perform either. I mean, it doesn't seem like an injury. If you're on a bubble, an injury is not going to save you.
Well, no, absolutely not. Earl Wolf is out of here. The way Ed Reynolds is playing right now, and Krasinski has played well, even though he's a little banged up right now. I mean, there are guys that are stepping up to play. Maragos has played very, very well at the safety position, even though they think of him as being a guy that just plays special teams. Chris has made it a point to play very, very well. So he's in the mix right now making this team. So who do you take out for Barner to make this team? You take any of those guys out, they're all great special teams players, as Barner is. But he's basically the same guy in the same roles as a Sproles.
Well, and that's the thing with the kid, Ajira Tutu. He's another special teams guy, but does he get squeezed out at wideout?
Exactly. I mean, this might be the hardest 53-man roster to really go ahead and evaluate and see who's going where. I mean, this is really going to be a tight situation for Chip Kelly and his staff because there's a lot of guys really making a point to step it up and show, hey, I belong with this team, and I'm interviewing well for 31 other teams in this league.
That's what's going on here, too. Whether they don't make this team, I think a lot of these guys that get cut by the Eagles are going to end up someplace else. They got a lot of talent here. That doesn't mean they're going to win a Super Bowl or they're the best team in the division, but I think if you've seen through 2 preseason games, and preseason's preseason, but if you're at camp every day, you've been there last year, do you see that what Chip Kelly was trying to put together with this team? Are you starting to see it?
You know what? This is the first time that I would ever say that Chip Kelly has put together 90 Leave It to Beaver-esque type of players. All these guys keep their nose clean. You don't hear much about them. I didn't think it was ever possible, but he has done it. He's got 90 Leave It to Beaver-esque players out there. They're great athletes that play well, man. So kudos to him. His evaluation of talent was good enough that he made some good decisions. And, they're going to get rid of some good players as he did before. So, as we go forward, Chip has done everything that a GM would do and also put together a team and coaching a team that can really put themselves in a position to be high up in the NFC East.
All right, Barrett Brooks, every Monday at this time we'll be breaking down the Eagles. Barrett's breakdowns on Mondays. After every Eagles game on Sunday, you'll hear him at 3:05 on Mondays. Don't forget, 6 o'clock, bright and early, Breakfast on Broad on the Comcast Network. Him and the guys in the group, and Sarah, and, of course, Mealy and Rob over there doing a great job. I don't know how you're getting up that early, man. I couldn't do it.
I'm used to it now, man. So the wife got me out running, man. She's working me out right now, man. So I took a break from this workout. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man, because she is killing me over here, bro.
I talked to your wife the last time I saw her. We're all supposed to go out in the boat. When are we going?
Man, when I have time now, man, I got college football. I got, radio with you. I got Breakfast on Broad, man. I never get a spare movement.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to the season and having you back, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you next Monday, man. We go through it again, bro.